Good afternoon and welcome to SAIT News File. I'm Dulce Abella. Noah Adler will have a look at the latest highlights later. What can we expect, Noah?
Well, Dulce, we can be expecting some Trojans highlights as they played Nate College, and some Flames highlights as they played against the Carolina Hurricanes. And the Raptors were back on home court on Monday, taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Sounds great. We will have a look at weather with Emmanuel later today. But first, here are today's top stories. Premier Daniel Smith is returning to the Alberta legislature today, after a 7-year absence to begin her first legislative session leading the government. It will also be the first time government members are in the legislature since it was prorogued in May. Smith's top objective in the 30th Legislature 4th session will be to propose the long-awaited Alberta Sovereignty Within a United Canada Act. Its purpose is to serve as a constitutional shield, allowing the province to refuse to follow federal laws or policies. The finance minister has said that Albertans can expect legislation to re-index income tax bands, as well as welfare payments for seniors and the seriously severely handicapped. A heated trailer has been delivered to the Alberta's Children's Hospital and will be available to patients early next month. The decision was made in response to an increase in pediatric respiratory illnesses, which earlier this month caused hospital wait times to reach up to 18 hours. The trailer will be used when the emergency department has spikes in patient volume, and it will be monitored similarly to the emergency waiting room. The extra space is described as a comfort measure to deal with the crowding and weather conditions, although it is noted that it won't be used as the main treatment area. Good news for future and current low-income post-secondary students, following a recent announcement from the Alberta government. The announcement is about how the government is adding $3.5 million towards the New Beginning bursary. Reporting from the newsroom is Travis Neal. Travis, what is the New Beginning bursary?
Well, Dulce, the New Beginning bursary is a program that allows low-income students to attend post-secondary schools. To qualify for the program, you must be eligible for full-time student loan funding from the Albertan Student Aid, have a family income from the previous tax year at or below the low-income threshold, and be enrolled in high-demand courses such as aircraft maintenance. The program started in June when the government gave $15 million to support 1,000 students.
The industry very well. There's always been a shortage of good qualified aircraft maintenance engineers. And this allows us to, or this allows the students and the industry to be exposed to more people that have the capabilities but wouldn't ordinarily be exposed to it.
Dulce, this additional money will allow another 700 students to be able to attend post-secondary schools.
I definitely wouldn't want underqualified aircraft maintenance crews dealing with my plane. That was Travis Neal reporting from the newsroom. Dropped phone calls have been a source of frustration for many Calgarians, following months of no service and frequent dropped calls.
Send me a list and I'll see what I can do.
Hello?
Hey.
CMAC Mechanical has been suffering with intermittent cellular connectivity for years, but things have gotten worse since September. The company has taken steps to address the issue, including the installation of a wireless booster that costs around $4,000.
I can't take a phone call. So then I have to stop the phone call. I have to interrupt a phone call. I then got to get on the landline and then call the contractor or whomever back via the landline.
Multiple days, 2 hours on hold, trying to get a hold of TELUS, being told there's no solution, and just a lot of waiting.
TELUS has compensated the company several hundreds of dollars since the problem began, but it is not enough to cover the cost CMAC has incurred thus far. Shaw Communication remains confident that it will be able to finalize its transaction to be acquired by Rogers Communication, despite objections from the Competition Bureau. The company's CEO says the deal is still on the table. This would also see Videotran acquire Shaw's Freedom Mobile Wireless business. The comments came as Shaw reported a fourth quarter profit of $169 million or 34 cents per diluted share, a decrease from last year's profit of $252 million or 50 cents per diluted share. COVID-19 numbers are rising in Alberta, and Calgary's music scene is bouncing back after being silenced for 2 years. There's some concern that restrictions might be brought back as a possible sixth wave looms behind the corner.
Almost 2 months since the province has entered its second step of returning back to normal. With rumors of a sixth wave on the horizon, Local venues and bands are hoping they'll be able to keep working. The province hasn't announced any planning to shut down, let alone bring back restrictions to stop the spike the province has seen over the past few weeks.
Like, hopefully we don't have to shut down again. Hopefully we can, at least have some clientele coming in the door. Not like the first wave when everything got completely shut down. We don't want that, right? I mean, if there's conditions and stuff like that, it's different, but shutdown is not good for any of us.
Bands have been back in action. Even though many bands have struggled during the pandemic, some are willing to play it by ear so they don't go off the rails on a crazy train.
Unless we're stopped by some sort of authority, we're not gonna, this time we don't have plans to, to retreat on our own accord. After everything that's happened over the last 2 years, we're not gonna be fear-mongered into not going to Poland this time. They're going to have to stop us.
If there will be any restrictions at all, or if there will be, how strict they are and how it does affect us. It's not something that is necessarily calculated at this point. It's just kind of something that we have to watch for, and we just have to roll with the punches and kind of figure it out as we go.
With the province and people returning to normal, while a sixth wave looms around the corner, many are going to take it one step at a time to keep the normalcy alive. For SAIT Newsfile, I'm Keith Driver.
Those are today's top stories. We'll have your full forecast for you coming up. But first, Emmanuel Pointager has a look at what's going on around Calgary this week.
Enjoy some of Blue Rodeo's top hits this weekend as they'll be performing at the Jubilee Auditorium starting at 8. Take in the beautiful lights this Saturday at the Indoor Winter Wonderland, including many fun activities, special events, and live entertainment. Head down to the Ironwood Stage and Grill to listen to the Primetime Big Band, led by musician Dave Jones. Tickets are $40 per person. Test how much you know your music with a trivia night at the Mahogany Center, happening tonight from 7 to 11. Begin the holiday season by enjoying a day out at Spruce Meadows with family and friends, shopping for gift ideas, and purchasing some artesian food. Going on now until December 4th. Tickets start at $10. Well, if you are planning to do any holiday shopping, make sure you bring on that winter jacket because it's cold as we take a look at the west side of the country. So as we take a look, it's very, very cold with snow-like conditions in Alberta through Winnipeg. There is rain in Vancouver with a high of 5, but that's the only positive temperature as we take a look at the east. A lot of rain as well in Toronto and Montreal. A nicer temperatures at 8 and 9 degrees, 6 degrees in Halifax, and then a low of -3 in St. John's. Now let's take a look at the resorts. The sun is shining in Palm Springs, sitting at a cool 21 degrees. Nice day to be on the beach as Barbados and Orlando both have a high of 29. Cancun will have some cloudy breaks, but still a hot day at 31 degrees. And in Honolulu, it's 29, while Las Vegas sits at 15, both sunny. As we take a look at Calgary today, it's -18, that's the high. Conditions are going to be a bit snowy. The wind of 20 kilometers per hour to the southeast will make it feel a bit colder. And what's next is cloudy conditions for the rest of the day. As we take a look at the province, a lot of snow in the forecast. As we look, the only non-snow is Fort McMurray at -17, but it's very, very cold. So make sure you really put on those winter jackets when you're doing your holiday shopping or whatever you're doing. But it will get better, hopefully, throughout the next week or so. Now, now let's take a look at the 5-day forecast. So it's going to be cloudy tonight and tomorrow as we get -20 and -18. But throughout the rest of the week, we're going to get a bit of sun, so that's the good news. Next up is sports with Noah Adler.
News, sports, and dramatic productions with industries.
Rupert Rupert's Land Institute is mandated to provide access to personal and career achievement to citizens of the Métis Nation of Alberta. Whether you're an entrepreneur just getting started, or someone looking to learn trade skills to enter the workforce, or a post-secondary student looking for funding, Rupert's Land Institute is here for you.
Come and learn the fast-paced world of television production. Find your passion to write, shoot, edit, and direct news, sports, and dramatic productions. With industry-standard technology and the best instructors in the business, SAIT's television production program teaches you everything you need to know for a career in broadcasting.
Welcome back to SAIT Newsfile. Noah Adler joins now for a look at the latest highlights. What's happening, Noah?
Well, as mentioned at the top of the show, we're going to be looking at some Flames highlights, and the Toronto Raptors were in action. But first, we're going to be taking a look at some Trojans highlights. The SAIT Trojans women's hockey team had a pretty difficult Friday night as it saw them losing by a count of 6-1. We picked this one up at 8:52 of the first period as Hannah Paquette opens up the scoring for Nate College to make it a 1-0 score. Later in the first, down by 2 goals, the Trojans cut the lead to 1 as Piper Alexander times the turnover perfectly and scores on a beautiful breakaway goal. But that is all SAIT would get on the night, as in the third period, Cassidy Chandro scores the first of 2 in the third as Nate goes on to win by a 5-goal count. Final shots on goal in the contest was 42-23 in favor of Nate College. The Trojans went on to also lose Saturday's game to Nate by an 8-2 score. The women's team is now off until January. The Calgary Flames were in action on Saturday afternoon against the Carolina Hurricanes. The Flames wrapped up their season-long 6-game road trip. Starting goaltender Dan Vladar making some pretty impressive saves early on in the first period. We jump later in the period with the Flames down by 1, Adam Rajicka tying it up after bouncing on a rebound from a Michael Stone shot. In the second, with the Flames once again down by 1, Tyler Toffoli scores goal number 200 in his career on a breakaway to tie it right back up. But once again, it wouldn't last as Carolina would get their third goal, and that's how the game would end. Flames return back to the Scotiabank Saddledome for a Tuesday night showdown against the Carolina Hurricanes, against the Florida Panthers. This will be Matthew Tkachuk's first time back in Calgary since the big blockbuster trade in July. 8 other games on the National Hockey League schedule taking place this evening. The Carolina Hurricanes are in Pittsburgh to take on the Penguins. San Jose is in Montreal to take on the Canadiens. Boston hosts the Tampa Bay Lightning. The New York Islanders head to the city of Beverly Love to take on the Flyers. Anaheim Ducks play in Nashville against the Predators. The Jets host the Colorado Avalanche, and in the 2 late games, the Canucks host the Capitals, and Seattle's in Hollywood to take on the Kings. The Toronto Raptors were in action Monday night as they hosted the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Raptors put up an even 100 points in the evening for a big 188 win over the Cavaliers. OG Anunoby led the way for Toronto with 20 points in the contest. Pascal Siakam also led the team in both rebounds and assists in the W over Cleveland. The Raptors improved to an 11-9 record on the season. Next game will be Wednesday against the New Orleans Pelicans. 2 games are already final in Qatar in some FIFA World Cup action. The first game saw Senegal beat Ecuador by 2-1 count. The Netherlands shut out host country Qatar by 2-0 score. 2 other games are taking place early this afternoon as Canada's neighbors to the south from the United States take on Iran, and Wales faces off against England in the other contest. Canada, who was eliminated on Sunday thanks to a loss against Croatia, will wrap up their World Cup appearance against Morocco on Thursday. And that's a look at sports.
Well, there's a lot of things happening at sports right now. Now, here's a quick reminder for the upcoming week.
So it's going to be pretty frosty out there as we take a look at the rest of the week. But we do have some sun entering into the weekend. Still very cold when you're doing your holiday shopping. And yeah, so.
Wow, it's gonna be, I'm glad that the weather is kind of like not as bad as like it's expected to be. But that's all for today. Thanks for being with us. Bye.